whatever technique is best for you. Or you can try the see or hear or feel technique, just focusing on one of those sense experiences and just deepen it and let yourself settle in, okay? Okay, good job. One way to think about practice is that when we think about meditation, often we think about it as sitting on a chair, on a cushion for an extended period of time. But the other way to think about meditation is that we can have techniques that we use in our daily life, and it can be as short as what we just did. You can be driving the car in the car and remember to be mindful and use a technique for 30 seconds. And as we pepper our day with more of what we call micro hits, that's just what we did, a small, short, focused practice, we're developing the same skills that we develop when we sit for extended or more formal periods of time. So I think, one of the goals is to begin to be mindful in daily life. And so having short practices that we can do as we're doing other tasks is really important. So this series, how many people are brand new tonight? Welcome. Okay, great. Welcome. So I'll do a little bit of catch up so that they're on board as well, because we're going to do two practices tonight that actually are my favorites. We're going to do see, hear, feel good, which is really cultivating the positive qualities in life. And then the second one is a gratitude practice, which is really powerful, as we know. So this four-week series, I started out at January 6th, I think, asking people how many people had made New Year's resolutions, okay? And a few people had. And then the second week, I asked how many people still have the New Year's resolution, and hardly any of us did, because that's what happens. But I wanted to have a broader context than just New Year's resolutions. So this four-week series has been about goals to be happy in life. And how does mindfulness practice enhance our goal to be a more full human being? And when I use the term happiness, in this culture, we often think about happiness as, well, I get a new car and I'm really happy for a while, right? Till I get a dent, or I get used to it. Or, I make some money and I get happy. Or I go and hear music I love and I get happy. But as we know, there's a hedonic curve. A hedonic curve is that everybody, this is what at least the scientists speculate or maybe theorize, is everybody has a set point for happiness, and we're at different set points. Some of us are just born with a higher set point for being happy. We were at Starbucks this morning, and there was a young woman who she'd been there working 2 years. That's what she told me. She's the happiest person I met all day. And you could just feel the contagion in the room. She just was brimming with joy. And then the others of us struggle a little bit more. What we know about the hedonic curve is that based on your baseline of happiness, when something good happens, we tend to go up, and then after a period of time, we go right back to our set point. And the studies have been done with people who, and I think these are interesting, you may know, people who win the lottery and win a lot of money, zoom, and then over a period of time go right back to where they were. And then the opposite, they've studied people who become paraplegic later in life. And you can imagine when you're a fully functioning adult and you become paralyzed, your set point really will drop, but it tends to go right back. So, and this is what the scientists tell us. The thing about our mindfulness practice, and particularly the Buddha Dharma, the way the Buddha taught us to live our lives, is we can raise that set point. So wherever you're at on the happiness scale, with practice and with life practices or life choices, we can actually become happier and sustain that happiness. So these past 4 weeks, I've used the definition rather than, again, getting the new car, being happy for a while, and then the first dent, you go right back to where you were at. I want to use the term eudaimonia, which is a Greek term that we can translate as happiness, but it's much deeper. It's about, it literally translates good spirit or good life. So an idea that happiness, particularly in the Buddha Dharma or in mindfulness, happiness is about something deeper, about those qualities that make us fully human. So it's more than just getting some pleasure. It is really a deep flourishing that we can cultivate and become a part of our lives. And what we've been exploring in these 4 weeks is how mindfulness practice can deepen that flourishing. So tonight, so the first week we looked at, and I've been using what's called the 4 facets of happiness, 4 aspects of our lives that we can use practice, use meditation and daily life practice to enhance these aspects of happiness. First week we did stress relief. I mean, that's kind of obvious. When you can reduce your stress, you're going to be happier, right? Second week, we looked at fulfillment. If you have practices where you can just appreciate more the things in life, then you're going to be happier in the sense of flourishing. And then the third week, last week, we did self-knowledge. And we explored and practiced with how we can actually do mindfulness practice to understand ourselves, to be more aware. And, we all probably know people who are really self-aware, tuned in to sensitivity to themselves and other people. And they tend to be happier and also spread joy. And then the fourth aspect of happiness is the one we're going to focus on tonight, which is service and connection. Service and connection. So the joys of being almost 78. At any moment, a thought can flee. Okay? And I use my equanimity that it goes, it'll come back, and there it is. So the fourth aspect of happiness is looking at our relationship to the world and how we can use mindfulness to enhance and flourish with that connection to the world. And that's why traditionally this fourth aspect has been called service, what we can do in the world to contribute. But they're redefining it slightly now to also mean connection, because it may be that what we do by way of service, the ultimate goal is a connection to the world in a really positive way. So, And what we know is that, if you read any research on aging or life cycles, you know that one of the key aspects of good adjustment and happiness is having some connection outside ourselves. And, it's not prescribed. It doesn't mean everybody has to belong to something. You don't have to have one way to be connected. We all do it in our own ways, but there is important in some ways to be able to participate in the world, whether it be through a person or a project or even nature. Some way that we can appreciate and connect to the world really does enhance our happiness. And that's sort of obvious as well. And, sometimes meditation, the image, when you say to people who maybe don't meditate, you say, well, I meditate. Their image is this, eyes closed, sitting, right? And we do that. But it's more than that, because, the criticism is that if you just sit with your eyes closed, you're tuned out. You're tuned in, but tuned out. And mindfulness practice is much more than just a kind of self-focused practice. It's about learning about ourselves, appreciating the world, and connecting. And that's why I said at the beginning that when you do a micro hit, meaning you take your practice off the cushion, off the chair, into your daily life, that you're going to then connect to the world in a whole different way. So, let's see, we're on time. Yeah. Maybe I could just review real quickly with an analogy the practice we're going to do tonight, the elements. So the teacher Shinzen Young came up with this metaphor. I think it's a metaphor or an analogy. Instead of just sitting on the cushion with your eyes closed, and that's important to do because that is one way to practice. But for him, the image of meditating is working out at the gym. It's a sweaty workout at the gym. And if you go to the gym, I belong to LA Fitness. When I go, I'm active, I'm moving, I'm maybe not connecting with people, but I'm around people. So it's not a self-focused thing. It's about connecting. And that can be a great way to meditate. So here's the analogy. The gym that we're going to work out in tonight is our sensory experience. See, hear, feel. The muscles that will develop with the meditation are concentration, clarity, and equanimity. It's the three skills or muscles that we can define as mindfulness. And then the third thing is what's the equipment we use? It's noting and labeling. Okay. So let me walk us through that because we're going to use these ideas or these techniques as a part of what we're going to practice. So, see, we can see out, pick an object in the room, and just notice it. And really focus on it for a few seconds and notice details. So when you focus on it, you're concentrating, that's that skill. You notice details, that's clarity. And then there are other things going on that you just let be in the background. I mean, if you hear a sound there, or my voice, or the feeling, hear the sound, you can let that be in the background. That's the equanimity. Equanimity is you don't have to get rid of that sound to notice the object. You can just let it be. Okay? So that's see out. See in is visual thinking, and we do that all the time. So picture in your imagination your favorite food. And can you actually see it in your mind? And notice where you see it. There's actually, some people it's between their eyes, Mine, it's on the right side of my head. It's my brain. So there's actually a space. So we can see out and we can see in. Same way with here. Here out. Notice if you can hear any sounds in the environment. Including my voice, scratchy voice. Okay. So we can hear out. We can pay attention with concentration, clarity, and equanimity. So we focus on it, concentrate. We can notice the details of the sound, and then we can let everything else kind of go in the background and really focus on the sound. So we can hear out. We can hear in as well, and that's auditory thinking. So recite your phone number to yourself silently. And notice you can hear yourself. So when we think, we can either see or hear. And that's, we call that in. And then feel, same way. Feel, just notice the feeling of your body, sitting in the chair or on the cushion. Notice any sensations. And that's feel out. And feel in is emotions. Every emotion comes up in the body, whether we recognize it or not. One way to test it out is, without feeling too silly, put a smile on your face. Can you feel that? You can actually feel it. If you do it long enough, without feeling too self-conscious, you can actually feel happier. It shows up in the body. So, the gym we're working in is see out, see in, images, hear out, sounds, hear in, what we tell ourselves all the time, and then feel out our body, sensation, including smell and taste, and then we can feel in emotions. Okay? Any questions about? Yes?
So when you say smell and taste, what if you're thinking about your favorite food and you can smell and taste it? Is that out or in?
So if you're thinking about your favorite food and you can taste it, I've had the experience of doing the image and actually start salivating. Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting? Our minds can move our bodies to do something profound. So the image would be see, and the taste or the salivation or the smell would be feel. Okay?
But is it in or out?
Tasting or smelling would be out.
Even though I imagined it.
Yeah. Because feel in would be emotion.
Okay.
Okay. So if this doesn't make any sense, forget it. I'm going to guide you through it, okay? So tonight, let's start with, like I said, we're going to do 2 practices focused on this idea of connection in the world. And let's do a little exercise to start. I can do this with eyes open or closed. And let me ask you, as you think about your life in the world, what's important to you? What matters in your connection to the world? It could be a person, a pet, a project. It could be nature. What in your connection in the world is most important? And there might be several things, I would guess. Would anybody like to share what just popped into your mind about what's important?
My family's most important.
Your family, most important. Great. Yes?
I'm a career coach, counselor, and I just feel like I can help people, get where they want to, both professionally, both volunteer, and I get paid to do it. So That's what I'm putting out in the world.
Your service,
My
your
service,
career is a
serving
way to
people.
serve people in the world.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Anybody else want to share what popped into your mind? Marie?
Well, my spouse and family,
Yeah.
hiking is real important to me. That's my connection with nature. Coming here and doing things like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and things, and but it's just fun. I just enjoy the people there doing this, so that's important. But the work we do is important, and that connection is real important too.
So
those are
spouse, family, connection to community, peanut butter and jelly, helping feed the
Mhm.
homeless.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, great ways. Well, yes.
Mine is like to be acknowledged, to be seen, because I had a nasty relapse after I got out of county, and my family stopped talking to me, wanted nothing, so it really messed with me. So I also come here and make sandwiches for the homeless, and yeah, like I started realizing like they're not invisible, they're actual people.
Yes.
It's really depressing and hard when you're there, but people don't acknowledge you or see you.
Yeah. So for you, it's important to be seen. And it sounds like you connect, like in this community, and you have a place. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see how mindfulness practice can deepen that connection that you just identified. Okay. And we're going to use the see, hear, feel in, the inner system, to do that. Okay. So I'll guide us, and let's go ahead and start with just assuming a mindfulness posture, which is just, you want to be comfortable but alert. And the body can alert the mind, so maybe just lengthening the spine and relaxing your shoulders and relaxing the jaw. And you can do this with eyes open or closed, whatever you're most comfortable with. And now, using the see in, create an image of that person, thing you identified as important. Visualize an image of your connection in the world, whatever that might be. And when the image fades, just refresh it, okay? And bring your concentration to it and your clarity, noticing details, and let everything else be in the background. Just really sink into that image, that see in. Again, when it fades, just refresh it. And now we'll do a here in. We'll add to the image. You can pick a phrase or a word that connects you to the image. So it could be a word of appreciation or acknowledgement or a name. And just hear that word or phrase. And the phrase could be, I really value this, or I appreciate this. Now we'll add a third element, which is the feel in, and just check into your body. And notice as you visualize what's important, and you hear the word or phrase, notice if any feeling comes up. Now I'm going to be quiet, and you can just let your attention move between the image, the word, and the emotion in the body. And just be aware, be mindful of what you're experiencing. Image fades, refresh it, and you might repeat the word or phrase at a steady pace and check into the body. Notice where the emotion is coming up, if it does. Support this practice by maybe putting a slight smile on your face, which can light you up. You get distracted, which is natural. Refresh the image. Repeat the phrase or word. Notice if there's any emotion in the body. Few more minutes of the practice. So in a moment, I'll ring the bell, and when I do, you might just listen, hear out, listen for the bell. Anybody get sleepy? Take notice. We're in good company. And this time of night, yeah, absolutely. One of the things about it was what we call sleepiness a distraction in a way.
Very
You
relaxed.
could feel it.
Yeah, it's slowing down.
Yeah,
My breathing was slowing down a little.
yeah. So we would say you were being mindful that you were getting sleepy. Now, if you fall asleep and fall out of the chair, then you would probably say you're not mindful until you wake up. But, I like to use that as an illustration that there are no distractions in mindfulness practice. When we learn to just focus on the breath, everything else is a distraction, then in a way it robs us of the opportunity to really appreciate everything else we see, hear, and feel. So even with sleepiness, many people got sleepy. If you're aware of it, you were being mindful. And what we know is when you notice that, that's that strengthening that skill of concentration. You're knowing it. And the clarity is just the feeling. And the equanimity is that you're not fighting it necessarily. You might, wake yourself up a bit. So, with this practice, see, hear, feel good, what was your experience? Anybody want to share how it was to connect with what was important to you with this practice? How was it?
Well,
I'm sorry?
kind of being mindful of the feeling that was also associated with the.
So you were aware of the feeling in the body that was associated
with that, yeah.
Yeah, great. And that awareness is cultivating that with a positive emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, positive. And the reason I ask is sometimes people pick their spouse or partner, and I often do, and today that's who I was using, and we had a great day, and I'm not mad at him, so it was a really good experience. Trouble with picking somebody who's really close to you is that if there's any, even minor irritation, you can flip into a negative emotion. But it felt positive for you.
Well, I was looking for something that made me feel good, right? Wasn't that the...
Yeah.
So it made me aware that it made me more confirm that that's something that I need. That's kind of what I'm seeking, and it made me feel good.
Great.
Because we move to what makes us feel good anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you associate, you had a particular image or something that is important to you, and you practice with it, and what came up was positive emotions.
Well, I felt good.
Yeah, great. And what we could say is that is that's a way to appreciate what is important to you in life, to feel good about it. Absolutely. How about others? Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, like say you choose your partner, and you find negative emotions, is that something to be also mindful of? So I need to resolve that.
So the question is, let's say you pick your partner or spouse, and negative emotions come up. How do you work with that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, you can just be aware of that. Absolutely. Yeah, you can just feel it. What if you're sinking into perseverating about he or she or they did this or that, and there you go, okay? Then you want to bring yourself back to a realistic sensory experience, just a see out, hear out, so that you don't go down that rabbit trail in negativity. That's the danger of picking somebody very close to us. How about others? What did anybody want to share what they picked for an important image, and how did it work with the practice?
I was picturing, like, I have like an art practice. I do paintings. I've had this painting on my desk for it's been like 7 years. And it's like I get busy. I have like 3 jobs, and like I had to rent like one of the rooms in my house, and now my entire desk is just covered with this mountain of stuff from that room and this room, and then like living on a cot with like this stuff. And so my meditation was to like imagine all that stuff was like not on my desk, and it was like I had time to finish the painting.
Wow.
It was nice.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear, he has did you say 7 years?
It's been
working on
like unfinished since like 2018, just sitting there, and I've been too busy working multiple jobs, like rented the room next to the room I'm in now, like somebody, and it was like such a last minute thing that all my stuff is just on top of the desk and on top of I have to walk
around.
to jump over these piles of stuff to get to sleep, and like it's just I was just imagining it was all gone.
Cool. So it was really it was all gone, and the painting was there. Yeah. So that sounds like that's important to you. And did you experience emotions come up about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. It was like I've had times in my life when I was lucky enough like to spend a few months painting, and so it kind of brought me back to that time period. It was a little easier.
Yeah,
things were easier. Yeah.
So in this meditation practice, you could experience the positive feelings about being able to paint in an uncluttered environment. Yeah. So, just like I say, sometimes I picture food that I love and I start salivating. It's amazing how our minds can move us to actual physical experiences that are different. And it's important to you and me to appreciate what it is in the world that we value. And not just intellectually, my family's important because of these reasons. That's important. But that connection. Because then we would say that we're fully present in the world and connected in a way.
It's interesting because you just said value you said what we value.
Yes.
So I think you keep saying like what's important. When I hear what's important to me, it's equal to what do you value?
Yes.
What do you value? And we value different things.
Yeah.
We all value things differently.
Yeah.
And it makes me mindful or aware of what I value. What I value is different than other things.
Yeah.
Value different things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Even the word we use to designate that connection will mean something different to each of us. So if you use the term value for you, that really does connect you to what's important.
I think value and important in my mind is the same. Is when someone says what's important to me, it's what do they value?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else like to share before we? The idea is that you can use this practice if you have a regular sitting meditation. The more you practice it, the more you're going to pick something and change how I feel. My partner and I just came back from a trip to LA, and he's the funniest, most creative human being I know. He is so much fun. And so I just lit up instantly as soon as I did, as soon as we started meditating. And the more you do it, it's like a bicep curl for the brain. And, this is not intended so that we can go around the world pretending like everything is wonderful. It's not. I'm telling you, we all live in dark times for lots of reasons. So why do we do this practice? It's to bring a balance to what is the negativity bias of the brain. I've mentioned reading.
So like when you're kind of perseverating or something, like maybe even during the night, waking up with
Yep.
anxiety or something, like rather than continue to perseverate, to practice like this, because perseverating things isn't doing good. So it's
Right.
a way to get you out of that mindset.
It can, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So, especially at night. I know I've had that experience where if I wake up and I'm worried about something, and then it seems doom and gloom, and I go back to sleep, wake up in the morning and I say, well, it's still a problem, but man, I was really lost in it. Because, we know that, and you can check it out with your own experience, we know that the brain has a negativity bias to protect us. So we're always going to go there. We can do this kind of a see, hear, feel good practice, appreciating the good things in life to balance it, not to pretend like everything is wonderful. So let's do the last practice, which is one of my favorites, which is a gratitude practice. Do you have a gratitude practice? Anybody have a formal practice you do?
Yeah.
Great.
Before I go to sleep.
Oh, before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Terrific. Do you want to share what you do? Or?
I'm not sleeping yet, but I would say, what I'm grateful for the day, and maybe just some positive things that happened for the day. So I don't go to sleep ruminating about all the problems.
So that's a conscious practice at night. What a great way to counter the negativity bias of the brain as well.
Yeah, Friday night we verbalize.
You
what we're
verbalize.
grateful for.
So you actually together
Yeah.
focus on gratitude. Well, if you want a Greater Good Science Center at Berkeley, one of my favorite research centers, you can Google it, Greater Good Science Center. They have tons of stuff on gratitude practice. And it's transformative, even physiologically, and not to mention psychologically. So having a formal gratitude practice, like with what we just did, is a great way to create a little balance in a world that can sometimes be challenging. So let's go ahead and do it. And we can do the same kind of practice of see, hear, feel in, and bring to mind an image of something you're grateful for. It could be anything. Your favorite food, a person, your health. And create an image of that thing you're grateful for. When it fades, just refresh it. And then add a word or phrase that fits for you. It could be as simple as thank you or I'm grateful. As you imagine what you're grateful for. And then as we practice, begin to notice if an emotion shows up in the body. Okay? So I'll be quiet now and just let your attention go between the image of what you're grateful for, the word or phrase, and any emotion that shows up. We'll do about 5 minutes of this practice. And if it doesn't feel too silly, you might just put a smile on your face. Help your brain light up for gratitude. So refreshing the image when it fades. Repeating the word or phrase at a steady pace, gentle, steady pace. And then check into the body. Notice how you feel. So let's do 2 more minutes of practice. So in a moment I'll ring the bell, and you might just bring your attention to appreciate the sound of the bell as we end the meditation. Okay. Would anybody like to share what you just experienced? Easy, difficult?
One thing I did, it just kind of naturally, I was thinking of visualizing the thing I appreciated. And then I was visualizing my life without it and how I felt.
Say that again.
I visualized the thing I was had gratitude for and
Yeah.
how I felt, and then I took that away and I visualized my life without and how I felt. That would really empower.
Contrast. Everybody hear that? That's a really interesting practice. That you visualize what you value or you appreciate, you're grateful for it, and then you can visualize what if it's not there. Yeah, in Stoic philosophy and practice, there's actually a negative practice where you do that. And, you don't want to go far down that rabbit hole where you focus on losses all the time. But it does make you appreciate. Is that what it did for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What if this person or thing were not in my life? Whoa, they're here. Am I grateful? Yeah, it's a great practice. So, terrific. How about others? Yes.
I have a cat at home, and he wakes me up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning screaming. And then today he didn't want to eat his food, and I'm like, he's a handful. But at the end of the day, when I was laying on the couch, he jumps up on me, and I put him under the covers, and he lays on me for like a half hour, and then I look under, and he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and he puts his head back down to go back to sleep.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, this is all worth it.
Yeah.
At 6 in the morning, I wasn't feeling like that.
Exactly.
It was just so sweet.
You can feel gratitude.
I felt gratitude and lucky to have him.
Yeah. Well, that's a great example, again, of balance, because the negativity bias is normal. It's like things we don't like or things we don't want. That's normal. But if that's what we focus on all the time, we don't achieve happiness. To be able to balance it. And it does require that we stop and pay attention to what it is that's good in our lives. That's what gratitude practice is about. How about anybody else want to share what happened in the practice? Yeah.
The first one was the joy, right? So that one for me it was hiking and feeling, but the feeling was more connected. I felt strong and connected with the earth and all that. The second one, the gratitude, I was picturing the backyard we created. We have this lovely backyard, and so we love just being out in the backyard, our little piece of the outside world, or entertaining people out in the backyard, or just having dinner by ourselves out there. And that made me was more up this way.
Really?
Yeah. It was interesting. It was just a different feeling, both good feelings, but different directions.
Really, you can feel it in your body
Uplift,
right now. Yeah, fantastic. And the idea is the more that you can do this specific practice on a regular basis, and then those positive emotions, gratitude, love, whatever it is, will arise more spontaneously. And that's, when we talk about resilience is not, it's not avoiding the experience of challenges and negativity. It's bouncing back. That's what resilience is about. And that's why these practices to connect us to the world, where our source of support and joy can be, are so important to cultivate. In this culture, I think we live a lot like, well, it's just supposed to happen naturally, or I need something from the outside to make it happen. I need to buy a new car. I need to have some, job promotion to feel happy. On the hedonic curve, that's only going to last so far. But these practices we did tonight, which you can do either on the cushion or in the chair in your formal meditation, or just do the micro hits in daily life. When you're at work, and there's somebody you appreciate, take 1 minute to do what we just did and watch how your experience changes. So we've got 2 minutes, and then the guardian of the temple is going to come up. A couple things. One is if you have a meditation practice, try these techniques. Secondly, if you want to learn more about this specific see, hear, feel practice, it comes from unified mindfulness. There's a website, there's a free core training. It's actually a cartoon. It's really sweet and very effective. Leads you through these techniques. And then lastly, I want to recommend a book for gratitude. It's Thanks 1,000 by A.J. Jacobs. I give it every Christmas or holidays. I give it out as a gift. Real quick, what this guy did one day is said, my cup of coffee is one of my great joys, but let me start thanking everybody in the world who is responsible. And he goes on this year-long journey. He even goes to the coffee plantation, he goes to the New York City water supply, he goes and thanks people. And then in the book, it's really thin, he talks about how it transforms his way of connecting in the world. So it's Thanks 1,000 by A.J. Jacobs. So speaking of gratitude, I want to thank you all for showing up tonight, and those of you who have come the other nights. I really appreciate that you have come and participated. And although this is the end of our series, at some point I will offer another probably 4-week series down the line. So I welcome you back. And there are other teachers every week here, other practitioners. So please come back and join us. Okay. David, the guardian of the temple, has some announcements.
Thanks, Bob. I would like to give a little comment. So I believe you can raise your happiness baseline. I used to be a miserable person. So hello, everyone. My name's David. I'm your host tonight. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not monks, nuns, priests, gurus, masters, and are not looking for students, at least as far as I know. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone struggling with any type of addiction. Our food redistribution program, which was mentioned tonight, meets every Thursday at 4:30 downstairs. We have classes and programs every day. Everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on the website. It's also posted above the shoe rack in the entryway. There's a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to take it and bring it back when you are done. Please straighten up your seat or cushion before you head out. Thank you for being here, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, David.